Okay, hi. My name is Dr. Lauren Pilgrim. No pill makes you grin, like Dr. Pilgrim. I am a naturopathic physician in private practice in majestic Sedona, Arizona, specializing in general medicine, blood work analysis, difficult diagnoses, and cognitive behavioral therapy. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me in my home office. Today's topic is the role of immunity. So we're going to discuss what the immune system is and how it helps us and how we can help it. I am going to go ahead and set up my screen share. Okay, and halfway there. And I think we're good to go. Looks all good on my end. I hope it looks good on your end. So again, welcome. The role of immunity. And so, hi. What is the immune system? The immune system is a complex network of cells and organs that defend the body against infection. The main parts of the immune system are the white blood cells, antibodies, complement system, lymphatic system, the spleen, bone marrow, and the thymus. So the immune system is what we call a silent defender, right? You can hear and feel the beating of your heart, so you know it's working. The immune system, on the other hand, doesn't have anything that lets you know that it's actually alive and work and participating in the day-to-day activities that it needs to be. So even though we're much less aware of our immune system, it is at work 24/7, protecting us from thousands of potentially deadly attacks every day. So let's examine some of the different types of defenses that the immune system uses to protect us. The very first line of defense is known as innate immunity. Innate immunity, I-N-N-A-T-E, innate immunity is a range of protective mechanisms that we were all born with, right? So I was an English major before I went to medical school. That is the definition of innate. It's anything that humans are born with, right? So we are actually born with a level of defense against the world. Yay, not much, but a little bit. The innate immune system provides non-specific protection against a wide variety of potential and actual invading pathogens such as viruses, bacteria, fungus, protozoas, worms, parasites, anything that can invade us, basically. There are 3 distinct levels of defense mechanisms that serve the innate immune system. These are 1, physical barriers, such as the skin. 2, chemical barriers, such as antimicrobial proteins that harm or destroy invaders. And 3, specialized cells called macrophages that attack foreign cells and normal body cells harboring infectious agents. Sounds like a federal agency strike, doesn't it? Mr. Anderson, we know you're in there, kind of thing. Okay, so before we move on to the second line of defense, let's delve a little bit deeper into the defense mechanisms of the innate immune system. Okay, protective barriers. The skin is an external barrier made from layers of cells serving as a protective barrier to infection. Not only does the skin provide a protective barrier to keep invaders out, but it also secretes fatty acids and enzymes, which we use to literally attack foreign invaders to our body. Now, We have a lot of microorganisms that live on the surface and throughout our body that keep us safe. So if you remember back to the elementary school playground and cooties, right? Well, cooties are a good thing. Cooties keep you safe from my cooties, and my cooties keep me safe from your cooties, and so on and so forth. The fatty acids can kill certain bacteria, while the enzymes can break down the outer wall of certain other bacteria. Internally, mucous membrane linings of the respiratory, gastrointestinal system, and the urinary tracts provide a protective barrier of cells that are constantly being renewed. The mucus literally traps small particles in its stickiness to prevent them from attaching to cells and working their way further into the body. Another crucial aspect of innate immunity is the chemical barriers to infection. When microbes penetrate the body's protective barriers and enter the internal tissues, they encounter a whole new world of hurt, so to speak. There is a wide variety of chemical substances that then attempt to prevent them from taking hold and growing and multiplying and totally wreaking havoc. There are many mechanisms and cells by which these chemicals work to harm or destroy these invaders. These processes go way beyond the scope of what we're going to discuss here. Just know that they are continually on the lookout for foreign invaders and are ready to strike at any time. The second line of defense is called acquired immunity. Acquired is named such because you are not born with this form of immunity. You literally have to acquire it through exposure to different pathogens. This line of defense is acquired from two different places, so to speak. You can acquire immunity through exposure to an infection or a disease, like the chicken pox or the flu, or anything, or you can acquire immunity from another person's antibodies. And so this is why there's always going to be a debate around whether or not babies and toddlers should be allowed to put things in their mouths. Babies put everything in their mouths. And so there's a school of thought that says that we want babies to put some germs in their mouth, right, so that their body can then be exposed to those germs in small substances, much like a vaccination, right? In a vaccination, we introduce a small amount of a foreign invader that would wreak havoc if it was allowed to get in and take hold and multiply and do what its process is. But in a vaccination, the amount that gets introduced inside the body is so small that the immune system is easily able to overwhelm that small amount, take it back to the laboratory, do its experiments, figure out what the hell it is. And then the next time you're exposed to that thing, the body knows exactly what to do to mount a defense. It doesn't have to then figure it out. We will talk more about this a little bit later. It is well established that people who contract certain diseases and survive generally do not catch those illnesses again, like the chickenpox, as I mentioned earlier. This is made possible through the mechanism of acquired immunity. When your immune system is exposed to a pathogen, it learns to recognize it and to make your immune system better equipped to fight off that type of germ the next time you're exposed to it, just like I was explaining with the vaccination. Acquired immunity is dependent on the specialized white blood cells known as lymphocytes. Lymphocytes are the cells responsible for the body's ability to distinguish and react to almost an infinite number of different foreign substances. Lymphocytes originate from stem cells in the bone marrow and can travel and multiply in response to appropriate stimulation. Remember at the beginning, we talked about how the bone marrow is part of the immune system. Well, the bone marrow is where white blood cells are born. If you've ever heard the term T cells or B cells, that's T as in Tom or B as in boy, T cells and B cells, these are referring to different types of lymphocytes. Both T and B cells recognize and help to eliminate foreign molecules, but they do so in different ways. Lymphocytes are distinguished from other cells by their capacity to recognize foreign molecules by means of receptor molecules. A receptor molecule is a special protein whose shape is designed to fit foreign molecules. And you can think of this kind of like a key that fits into a lock. Any foreign material that binds specifically to a receptor molecule is called an antigen. This sounds like one of those comic book villains, doesn't it? Antigens. Antigens include molecules found on invading microorganisms, such as viruses, bacteria, fungus, parasites, there's the word. And there's also molecules that are located on the surface of foreign substances such as pollen, dust, or transplanted organs and tissues. And this is why some people have reactions to pollen or dust while other people do not. Certain antigens can induce an immune response when they bind to the receptor molecule. And if the antigen is the villain in our example, then the immune system is the Justice League, all of them. One of my favorite parts of medical school was learning just how awesome the human body really, really is. And one of the many incredible abilities of the immune system is that it keeps a record of absolutely every microbe that it has ever come in contact with and therefore defeated. This enables the immune system to recognize and destroy the microbe quickly if it enters the body again before it can multiply and make you sick. However, some infections like the flu and the common cold have to be fought off many times because so many different viruses or strains of the same type of virus can cause these illnesses and the same symptoms. Therefore, catching a cold or flu from one virus does not necessarily give you immunity against the other ones. Record keeping is how we acquire immunity through vaccinations. The immune system is triggered by a small amount of an illness to produce antibodies. Again, the antibody and the antigen. Don't they just sound like superheroes and villains? This enables the body to quickly launch an immune attack to kill off the virus for future exposure. And so this is the meat and the bones of how the immune system really, really works. So how we acquire immunity. What we are exposed to dictates our acquired immunity. For example, where we live, vaccinations given at birth, and our exposure to different environmental conditions all impact our ability to fight off various diseases. If you've ever experienced allergies when visiting someplace for the first time, this is due to the exposure of something in your system that your system is not already familiar with. The next time you visit, you may not have the same reaction, for which you can thank acquired immunity. Here in Sedona, the locals have a saying that your allergies will either get better due to the dry climate or they will get worse due to the dry climate. So there's a little example of how people can be affected differently by the same environment. Like fingerprints, immune systems can vary. Because we are all exposed to different pathogens, we all have unique immune defenses. This means immune systems vary from person to person. While we all have similar innate responses, such as a skin barrier, our acquired immunity can be vastly different. In fact, recent studies have found that our history and environment, like where and with whom we live, are responsible for 60 to 80% of the differences between individual immune systems, while genetics accounts for the rest. So, an overactive immune system can result in a number of conditions, including allergies and immune diseases. Allergic diseases include allergies to foods, medications, or stinging insects. Allergies could also be to hay fever. You could have sinus infections. You could have asthma. You could produce hives, dermatitis, or eczema. or anaphylaxis. These conditions result when the immune system makes an overly strong response to these allergens. And so some of the immune diseases include multiple sclerosis, Graves and Hashimoto's thyroid diseases, type 1 diabetes, not type 2. Type 2 is acquired later in life. Type 1 is something that you're born with diabetes. Other autoimmune diseases include lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's, celiac, IBS, psoriasis, and systemic vasculitis. When the immune system mounts a response against normal components of the body, autoimmune disease results. An underactive immune system, also known as immunodeficiency, does not function correctly and makes people vulnerable to infections. So this can be life-threatening in some severe cases. Does anybody remember the bubble boy? That was a really severe case. Immunodeficiency can be inherited and can include conditions such as common variable immunodeficiency. It could also be linked to a birth defect kind of thing, but it could also be acquired later through exposure. Here's the word I'm looking for, through exposure to another disease, such as the virus of HIV, and also certain types of cancer would also have the immune system not work so well. So what can we do? Now that you have a more in-depth understanding of how the immune system works to protect us, let's take a look at different ways we can strengthen it so that we can help it help us. The ability to boost the immune system function is complex and continually under study. And so we're constantly striving to balance and achieve harmony among all the parts of the immune system because they're all interconnected. So let's take a little look at the effects of lifestyle being researched and how we can give ourselves a little boost. Your very first defense is to live a healthy lifestyle. Not only will your immune system benefit, but every part of your body will function better by following a few simple and obvious tips. You want to not smoke. You want to eat a diet high in fruits and vegetables. You want to exercise regularly. You want to maintain a healthy weight. And if you drink alcohol, you want to drink in moderation. We want to be sure to get an adequate amount of sleep. We want to take steps to avoid infection. And we want to try to minimize stress. As I said, these are simple and obvious tips. They're also much easier for me to say than for any of us to do. So I keep that in mind as I give this information, just so you know. Diet and your immune system. It has been well established that people who are malnourished are much more vulnerable to infectious diseases. Another group of individuals who are susceptible to micronutrient malnutrition are the elderly. This is because older people tend to eat less and often have less variety in their diets. Micronutrient deficiencies, for example, deficiencies of zinc, selenium, iron, copper, folic acid, and vitamins A, B6, C as in cat, and E as in Edward, may all alter immune responses. Even if you think your diet is providing you with all your micronutrient needs, taking a multivitamin and multi-mineral supplement will certainly help increase the power of your immune system. Chronic stress is very common in today's society. Our busy schedules and packed social calendars demand more from us than they have in any other time in history. And that was before the pandemic. Other stressors, such as financial burdens and anxiety, all contribute to chronic stress. When we experience stress, hormones are released in the body. This is helpful when we're in danger and we need to flee to safety. However, when under constant stress, These hormones remain present for prolonged and extended periods of time, which can then lead to their own problem. The result of chronic stress leads to a never-ending list of diseases and illnesses, ranging from depression to heart attack. During times of stress, the immune system may also be inhibited. Therefore, regularly participating in stress-reducing activities is not only beneficial to overall health, but general immunity as well. I know we covered a ton of information today, so if you have any questions, please speak up in the next little bit. And if you are watching the recording, then go ahead and send an email to no, I take that back. Send an email to info@thecenterofbalanceclinic.com, all spelled out, thecenterofbalanceclinic.com, info@thecenterofbalanceclinic.com. Please send any questions to me there. Okay, so if you are interested, I have all of these resources available for you. Please feel free to take a screenshot, pause the video, and write it all down, cut and paste it, and email yourself, whatever works for you. Please go ahead and if any of these resources look interesting to you. And I'll go ahead and leave this screen up for just another minute or so. I want to thank you all so much for taking the time out of your busy day to join us for this experience. The topic of immunity is vital to health. The more we know about how the body works, the better equipped we are to defend ourselves from disease. If you'd like to learn more about your health, you can schedule a consultation. Our office number is 928-203-4200. Again, I specialize in generalized medicine, blood work analysis, difficult diagnoses, and cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share. Again, if you have any questions and you're watching this on recording, please email info@thecenterofbalanceclinic.com.